Yes, hello to everyone. I welcome you all to this new daily news digest session. Today is 8th of January, and I have a couple of articles from both the Indian Express as well as the Hindu. I'm starting with the first article, which I would definitely want the student fraternity to see. It is about more flexibility, but also greater challenges. This article basically is an op-ed article which came in the Hindu today, and it basically is talking about the guidelines, the latest guidelines of the University Grants Commission, which herald a transformative shift in higher education in India. What are the reforms which have been taken? The reforms include the UGC has introduced an accelerated degree program and an extended degree program for undergraduate students, which will allow them to complete their degrees either earlier or later than the standard duration. What are the advantages and challenges associated with this particular program? First thing that needs to be remembered by students is this new paradigm aims to create a globally competitive educational framework. And this allows students greater autonomy and flexibility in charting out their academic trajectory. In a rigid education system, such as India's, this is a very revolutionary sort of step. While an accelerated degree program will be advantageous for students who are keen to join the workforce quickly or who wish to gain early professional experience or save money on tuition fees, the extended degree program will also allow students to a leeway to explore a broader range of subjects and undertake internships, engage in research projects, travel, and learn new skills. So these are the core advantages or importance of the new reforms which have been taken by the UGC. Apart from that, there is also the mention of new National Education Policy of 2020. The provisions associated with National Education Policy are very important for students and they need to be remembered by them. Another aspect that is very significant here is there are challenges as well. So the article is also talking about what are the various challenges. The accelerated format raises questions about the depth and rigor of the education provided to students. If students are taught the same curriculum within a shorter period of time, they may have a superficial understanding of key concepts. This could compromise educational outcomes. And in contrast, students who opt for the extended degree program may lack academic urgency. Academic urgency as a term becomes important. Some may take longer than necessary to complete their studies, which would diminish the value of the degree. How to adapt to this new structure? The article has also given some suggestions that many programs demand a deep understanding of both theory and practice, and therefore need of the hour is that we create programs which are somehow trying to balance both urgency as well as the depth of subjects. And what we need is in-depth study. We also need is problem solving techniques among the students, and this is one aspect which should be directly imbibed. Now, the article also has talked about some practical issues. First of all, the transition to accelerated and extended degree formats requires substantial restructuring of the curricula, teaching methods, and approval from competent bodies. Apart from that, another term which I would want that the students take a note of is uh, need of sophisticated administrative frameworks to manage these complexities. Another topic, the term which gains significance here is pedagogical models, the adaptation of faculty to these new pedagogical models. This is also one potential obstacle here. Teachers will need to undergo professional development to adjust to the demands of flexible interdisciplinary curricula. The success of these reforms hinges not only on the students' ability to navigate the new systems, but also on the capacity of the teachers and educators to support them effectively. If these challenges are addressed with strategic planning, adequate investment, timely recruitment of faculty and staff, and a commitment to inclusivity, these reforms could lay the foundation for a more dynamic higher education system and eventually realize India's dream of a Viksit Bharat. I've prepared a question based on this article, which I wish to discuss with you all. The question basically is talking about the introduction of accelerated and extended degree programs by the UGC. What does it aim? It aims to first simplify higher education curricula and reduce academic rigor. Second, create a globally competitive educational framework offering flexibility and autonomy to students. C, reduce the cost of higher education for all students by standardizing tuition fees. And fourth, D, to ensure equal access to higher education for underprivileged students. So these new accelerated and extended degree programs aim to create a globally competitive educational framework offering flexibility and autonomy to students. B is the correct answer to this particular question. Moving to the next article, this is also from the Hindu. The article basically is dealing about why the location of China's earthquakes matters. There are a lot of keywords and terms which are mentioned, which I would want that we try and understand. Yesterday, that is on 7th of January, China had a tremendous earthquake of 7.1 magnitude, and it struck the Tibetan China and Nepal. The epicenter was located 10 kilometers below a spot around 80 kilometers north of Mount Everest. And uh, as per Chinese media, around 95 people died and 130 were injured in this particular incident, and hundreds of houses were flattened on the side of the border. There have also been reports on the tremors being felt as far away as Kathmandu in Nepal, Thimphu in Bhutan, and Kolkata. Now, where did this quake occur? First of all, the first question that comes to mind. According to the China Earthquake Network Center, the point on the surface below which the epicenter lay was located in Tingri County in the Shigatse region of Tibet. This region lies 4 to 5 kilometers above sea level on average and is home to some 8 lakh people. The country itself is home to around 7,000 people. What is the significance of this? The region's capital city is the seat of the important Pancham Lama of Tibetan Buddhism. Please remember, this is important from your prelims perspective. Places in news definitely is one aspect which UPSC very frequently asks. And does bears considerable spiritual significance. The Dalai Lama also issued a statement here. And Tingri County is a gateway to Mount Everest and the surrounding terrain, which is a popular tourist destination. China has already closed tourist access to the region since the earthquake has struck. Now, another aspect which is mentioned here is, does the quake's location matters? The quake's main shock may have emerged in the Lhasa terrain. What is a terrain? A terrain is a specific fragment of the crust. Another aspect that needs to be remembered by students. The Lhasa terrain includes sites involved in China's construction of the world's largest hydroelectric power dam. This was recently in the news as well. The Chinese government approved this project last month, and once completed, the project will straddle the Yarlung Sangpo River and generate around 300 billion kilowatt hour per year. The project has also elicited expressions of concern from India, since the river subsequently flows into Arunachal Pradesh and Assam, where it becomes the Brahmaputra. So Yarlung Sangpo is the same river which at a later stage becomes the Brahmaputra River. Second, the wider Himalayan region is considered to be the planet's third pole. For the amount of water it holds in its rivers, glaciers, and lakes, and the effect that natural cycles have on the millions of people who are surrounded or who are dependent on this particular water. Earthquakes have been known to force rivers to change courses and to destabilize glaciers and lakes. So I think this is a very, very important article from your perspective. It has a lot of keywords. It has a lot of significant areas which need to be remembered by students, and please make a note of all these. I have a question which I wish to discuss on this particular article. The earthquake that struck Tibetan China, and Nepal on January 7 had significant geological and geopolitical implications. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the event? First, the earthquake's epicenter was located in the Lhasa terrain, a region known for tectonic activity due to the Indian plate's collision with the Eurasian plate. First. Second, the region affected by the earthquake includes areas involved in the construction of China's largest hydroelectric power dam. This is also correct. We have recently read it. The Yarlung Sangpo River, which flows through this region, eventually becomes the Ganga in India. No, it becomes the Brahmaputra in India. Third statement is wrong. Now with this, let's try and move to some articles from the Indian Express. Let's have a look at some of those important articles which are very important from our exams perspective. So the first article that I found very fascinating was Supreme Court's call for periodic legislative review to find out whether a law has worked well. The Supreme Court was hearing Menka Gandhi's pleas regarding the 45-day limit set in the Representation of the People Act on election petitions. Let's have a look at what this article is trying to say. The Supreme Court on Tuesday underlined the need for periodic review of laws to assess their effectiveness and identify deficiencies, if any. For every law, there should be a legislative review. Reviews should not only be confined to judicial reviews, there should be a legislative review as well from time to time. This is a new term, keyword that needs to be there in your notes. The bench, which also comprised Justice N.K. Singh, was hearing two pleas filed by former Union Minister Menka Gandhi, a writ petition challenging Section 81 of the Representation of People's Act 1951, and an appeal challenging the Allahabad High Court judgment dismissing a plea against the election of Samajwadi Party MP Ram Bhual Nishad from the Sultanpur constituency. Section 81, what does this say? Section 81 of the Act says that an election petition must be filed within 45 days from the date of the election of the candidate. This needs to be remembered by students. And Justice Kant here said that an expert body to find out whether a law has worked well, what was the object for which it was enacted, and has it really succeeded in achieving that object? If not, what are the deficiencies, bottlenecks, and gray areas which need to be taken care of? The Allahabad High Court dismissed Menka Gandhi's petition, which alleged that Nishad had not disclosed 4 criminal cases against him in his election affidavit on the grounds that it was filed beyond the 45-day period prescribed in Section 81 of the Representation of People's Act. The bench initially expressed unwillingness to intervene, saying that if it is started interfering in such matters, the consequence would be that no one would file election petitions. This needs to be remembered. So apart from this, a new term that has been discovered, the need for periodic legislative review in this particular article. Please remember this. Now, I have one one question which I've prepared from this article, which needs to be discussed. In the context of the Supreme Court's observation on legislative reviews, which of the following statement is correct? Legislative review aims to assess the effectiveness of laws and identify deficiencies over time. Second is Section 81 of the Representation of People's Act 1951 allows election petitions to be filed within 90 days of the election of the candidate. No, this is wrong. 45 days. First statement definitely is correct. Supreme Court upheld Menka Gandhi's writ petition challenging Section 81 of the Representation of People Act 1951. This is wrong. It did not. Judicial reviews are the only method of assessing the constitutionality and effectiveness of laws in India. This is also wrong because we also need to have legislative reviews in order to assess the constitutionality and effectiveness of laws. And when it says judicial reviews are the only method, it makes the statement very extreme. So this was the another article. Now let's discuss the last article for the day. The article basically is dealing with Microsoft's plans to invest approximately $3 billion on artificial intelligence cloud infrastructure in India. The company will also help train 10 million people over the next 5 years with AI skills in the country. Let's have a look at what this article is trying to say. Microsoft already has 3 data center regions in the market, and the 4th is ready to go live in 2026. Let's figure out what this article is saying. Microsoft Chairman and CEO Satya Nadella said that the company will invest $3 billion in India in cloud and artificial intelligence infrastructures and skilling over the next 2 years, including the establishment of new data centers. The company will also help train 10 million people over the next 5 years with AI skills in the country. India is rapidly becoming a leader in AI innovation, unlocking new opportunities across the country. The investment in infrastructure and skilling we are announcing today reaffirm our commitment to make India AI first. Another important term that can be remembered. AI first can be used in your answers as well. Microsoft already has 3 data center regions in the market, and the 4th is ready to go live in 2026. Please try and find out as to what these data centers are. What do they do? Because AI, machine learning, all these buzzwords have a potential of being asked as full-fledged questions. The company also said the new investment aims to develop a scalable AI computing ecosystem to meet the growing demands of India's rapidly expanding AI startups and research community. As the nature of job evolves, AI is becoming an essential skill for professionals. Indian professionals are leading the way in learning and skill building on LinkedIn, spending nearly 50% more time on learning per week than the average professional. They have been early adopters of artificial intelligence with a 122% year-over-year increase in Indian members adding AI skills to their profiles compared to 71% globally. This data can be remembered because if there is a question on AI and how have Indians been adopting AI, this data can actually be quoted in the answer. Microsoft Research Lab also announced an AI innovation network, another keyword, under which it will build new collaborations to accelerate the transition from research to real usable business solutions. It has already initiated a collaboration with a leading edtech firm on math reasoning and is in ongoing discussions on topics such as causal inference, optimistic India, Indic LLMs, large language models, prompt optimization, and reinforcement learnings. These are all keywords, terms which should be known to you because when a question arrives, you should be exactly aware as to what these individual terms mean. So these were the articles from today's newspaper, which I found to be very significant. Thank you so much. We'll meet again soon.